All right, welcome everybody to this wonderful conversation about the Cybersecurity Act, what it is, what it means, and what you as a business owner or somebody who's in e-commerce, what is it that you need to know about this and how does it affect you and your business? I'm very pleased to be joined by two great panelists, if I can call them that today. We have Craig Rosewarne and Rika van Wyk. And many of you will know them from previous conversations, but just as way of a quick introduction, let me just go through that. Craig Rosewarne is the Managing Director of Wolfpack Information Risk, which is a South African company specializing in cyber research, threat intelligence, training, awareness, and advisory services. On the website, I love that they say Wolfpack are passionate defenders of countries, companies, and communities from cyber threats. And that really sums up our conversation today. And Craig is joined by Rika van Wyk, who many of you guys will know. She's been a valuable contributor to so many previous conversations. Rika is the Global Privacy Manager at PayU, PayU being one of South Africa's most trusted payment gateways. So that brings together a great conversation to be had around the Cybersecurity Act. And I'm looking forward to getting into this today by maybe let's starting off with a broader question around the Act, what it means. And, you know, because the Act itself was adopted in May 2021, and it was brought into effect a few months later in December of that same year. Now, Rika, let me ask you, perhaps just to kick things off, could you please outline briefly what are the aims of the Act and why business owners really need to know about it?
Oh, first of all, thank you very much for a great introduction, Warrick. I appreciate it. And well, I can mention that we've been waiting for quite a long time for this act to be promulgated and to come into effect. So first of all, it's absolutely important because we needed to create new offenses that criminalize the theft and interference of data. So the Cybercrime Act is so important to South Africa, not only to businesses, as there is a distinctive rise, I would say almost meteoric rise in cybercrime across the globe, South Africa being absolutely no exception to that. So what the Act actually does is it modernizes criminal offenses that cater for the nature which many of us might be familiar with already. So it criminalizes the dissemination of harmful data messages and provides interim protection orders. It further regulates and gives power to the law enforcement's search and seizure rights, and enables us to actually begin to start to protect, and the state to start to protect the data that is passing through multiple businesses, users, and the public at large. What is quite interesting about this act is it's also modernized what I'd say two particular criminal offenses, and that is cyber fraud. Now, fraud, that is fraud committed by means of a data or a computer program or through any interference with data or a computer program. The second one is cyber fraudery, the passing off of false data or a false computer program with the intention to defraud. All of these words I'm bringing up because they're absolutely critical for our businesses and for e-commerce merchants out there to understand what elements of fraud they can be exposed to, and that it actually is something that can be litigated, and you can bring it to the South African police force and you can actually start and register a crime for those actions. Absolutely important to know that. Another big one, which we also talk a lot about, ransomware, but essentially we're talking about cyber extortion. That is the unlawful and unintentional interception of data for the purposes of getting an advantage from another person or another company and compelling them to perform or not to do something in any particular act. So that is, in a nutshell, the purpose of the act and the key elements that I'd love people to just know about, because it really helps individuals and companies take action against cybercrime.
Absolutely, and that's why we're here to talk about this, because it's something that we have to know about, and we're hearing more about it. And you've already outlined some great examples. But Craig, let me ask you: this is what you do. This is what Wolfpack, your business, focuses on. Like, what are the most common scenarios that you see in terms of cybercrime in South Africa, and especially when it comes to e-commerce?
Thanks, Warrick. I think it's important for people to realize that it's not just the bigger online players that are targeted. Of course, they are very much in the crosshairs, but anyone that's got an online presence. I mean, if you think about an individual who's got an Instagram and a group of supporters, etc., that they use to build their profile and try and monetize their videos and the products that they're trying to push, all the way through to sort of key government departments that are trying to move more e-gov services online, you know, for the benefit of all its citizens. Everyone at the end of the day is under attack. So Rika's highlighted some of the main categories that we see. But generally, when it comes to the online crimes, I think that the big players behind the scenes are cyber criminals. So whether it's organized crime or whether it is just individual scammers that are operating, very much trying to monetize. And the two big concerns we see facing South Africa is ransomware, and then also the data breach element, where companies steal very, very sensitive information. And more, we're actually seeing the combination of both of these. So where a company undergoes a ransomware attack, typically where the information is encrypted and they extort it to pay money, they often hit with a double whammy, where they said, pay us for the decryptor key. And PS, by the way, we've stolen and exfiltrated a large amount of information, which we put onto a bulletproof website. And unless you pay a second amount, we're going to publish that information and cause very, very serious reputational harm to your organization.
Wow. So that really is a great foundation of this conversation that we're going to be having. And also, I think for me personally, it gets people's attention. Like that is some, I don't want to say scary stuff, but it's something that really gets my attention and makes me want to pay attention to this and makes me want to learn more about it. And that's why through this series of conversations, we're going to break it up into 6 parts. Now that we've laid the foundation, I'd like you guys to join me in the next part of this conversation, where we're going to talk about how this is going to be implemented and how effective it's going to be. I'll see you there now.